men up the road, his house is still standing. It's the last house in Aurora before you go into Streetsboro. On the east side of the road, there's a house behind a fence and some overgrown evergreens there, and that was the Benjamin Dow house. And Elizabeth married Benjamin Dow's son, whose name was Inslee Chase Dow. They left this area and moved out to Chicago, where they became very, very wealthy people in Chicago. He was a grain merchant, as a matter of fact. Then the last of the family was, trying to think who the last of the family was. There was another son. Charles R. Charles R. Harmon is probably the most prominent of the Harmons in the town of Aurora for many, many years. He was the baby. He was born in the old Harmon house. Now, the old Harmon house stood on Page Road, north of Mennonite, where the road takes a very sharp elbow bend to the right as you're going north. There's a house that sits there now. It is not the original house. The original house was either moved off into the field to become an outbuilding, and this house was built, I think, in the 1890s, the one that's there now. And it's nicely kept up and restored, and you can still see it there today. That is on the site of the original Ebenezer Sheldon cabin and home site that was given to them by their father-in-law, Ebenezer Sheldon. And just across the road, of course, adjacent is Sunny Lake, which for many, many years was known as Harmon Pond because of the vast Harmon holdings that were in this part of the town. We're going to talk about Israel Harmon. Israel was the first son born out here. He was born in 1820. He was raised and schooled in the little local school that stood. And now here's where I can have some help. Where was the schoolhouse? The old schoolhouse. I'm sure someone here knows.
Yeah, I know. I had the bell for it.
Where did it stand?
The one that my dad told me about is at the intersection of Mennonite and Page. Go north on Page. And it was down there maybe a quarter of a mile on the left side.
On the west side, that's right.
Did Bessie drop down over the hill?
Yeah, that's about where my dad claimed it was. What did they call it? Bessie Hickok's school or something?
Well, she was a teacher there. She was a teacher there. The Bessie's school.
Probably Minnie Hickok.
That's right.
Minnie, not Bessie.
All right.
Okay.
And he was educated at that school. He was a farmer all his life. And he was given for his plot of land, this where we are today, the farm, and he then acquired and added to that through the years, acquiring the land to the south of us, down to Bartlett Road, and as far east. How many acres are the two pieces together, right?
Originally in the farm was 256 acres.
256 acres that belong to Israel. Israel built a cabin probably somewhere between where the house is today and the barns. And actually they lived in the cabin for a good many years. The first recorded tax duplicate that shows a house on this property was in 1847. It may well be that they had started the house prior to that, but it took many of the farmers, they built and farmed at the same time. There was not a great many people in town that afforded to having people come in and build a house for them. They did a lot of the building by themselves, and I suspect this is what happened here. That it may have been started before 1847, but that was when it was finished and finally went on the tax duplicate. The cabins that people lived in were not taxed. So it was until you built a permanent house, you could get away without taxation, as a matter of fact. Israel married a local girl by the name of Maria Benjamin, and she was the daughter of Zenas Benjamin. Their house was over on Old Mill Road, as a matter of fact. They lived there at the time they were married, and they later moved up off of Crackle Road, and the Benjamin house is up on Crackle Road, just about at the corner of Eggleston. It's still there today. But Maria Benjamin and Israel Harmon lived here, raised a family of 1 son and 4 girls. The girls married, did not have large families. Sherman, the son, was the only one that had a family that stayed around. The girls' occupations in 1850 are listed in almost every case as school teacher. So they had learned their ABCs well up the street at Minnie Hickok School, and then went on to teach in other places. Sherman, the son, again was raised in this house and inherited the property, and he married, let me think about this.
Elizabeth Hope.
Elizabeth Hope, yes, an English gal from England, and I suspect, and I've never really done any extensive research on this, but you all will remember that Bob Hope, the comedian, family was from the east side of Cleveland, and I have a feeling.
I never heard that they were related.
Never heard they were related, but
The Hope lived up in Burton.
They lived in Burton.
No, when I was a kid, we used to go.
I knew we'd get a lot of information today. Well, if that's the case, he brought his wife back here to live in Aurora. They raised a family of 4 children. The boy in that family being Ray's father, Cal Harmon, and then 3 other sisters that they had. Again, the sisters did not produce families, and Ray and his family are the main descendants of Israel that there are in and around northern Ohio today. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the pictures now. Now, can we...
You need this door shut?
Yeah, why don't we just pull the door shut?